So many times I and many of you viewers have been called the famous Tory enabler line for simply stating opinions and criticisms of the current Labour leadership. Now, I have taken on this critique before so many times, especially in many other videos, but I wanted to dedicate an entire video to this myth and break down all the different points. So first of all, am I a Tory enabler? No, I've never voted Tory. I will never vote Tory, and I never want a Tory government, which is ironic because I've been called a Tory enabler by people who literally voted Tory in the last election. Now, many people will say, okay, you may not want a Tory government, but by attacking Labour and advocating for people to vote for the Greens or independent candidates, that de facto makes you a Tory enabler. And all I can say is, I disagree. There were a load of people who attacked Labour under Corbyn, and whilst I disagree with a lot of those attacks, it was their right to do so. I have my own criticisms of him. But why has it become so much more of an issue when people like me attack Starmer, especially when, like it or not, Corbyn's politics was far closer to what you would consider traditional Labour values than Keir Starmer. In 1945, Clement Attlee's government created the NHS, the welfare state, large state building of houses, and nationalised a fifth of the economy. Now, I don't know how you could possibly say on economic policy that Starmer is closer to Attlee than Corbyn was, when Corbyn's economic policy was to build 1 million new houses every single year, with half of them being council houses, an end to privatisation, increase taxes on the wealthy, and an end to neoliberalism. Now, whilst Corbyn's and McDonald's economic plan wasn't strictly Keynesianism, it's obviously closer to Keynesianism than Starmer's neoliberal economic plan. Now, the reason why I attack Starmer is because I think he's made Labour pretty much identical to the Tories. I hate Tory ideology. I hate Tory policies. So if I see Labour moving closer to that, then what do you expect me to do? I'm going to point that out. Now, in terms of electability, people say to me, well, okay, Starmer has flaws, but we've got to get rid of the Tories. And what I'm doing is making a Tory government more likely. And again, I fundamentally disagree. Me and other far bigger and way, way more influential lefties, that's even if I'm influential myself, cannot change the outcome of a national election. We wouldn't be able to reach that many people. And even if we did, I doubt we could convince that many people that would literally sway a general election. Now, let's say we found 200,000 people, right? 200,000 people who left under the Labour Party because they were pissed off that Corbyn was mistreated, right? And we convinced every single one of them to vote Green or Independent. That wouldn't be enough to swing the general election. However, that 200,000 people across the country in very specific seats could be the difference between a right-wing Labour or Tory MP and a left-wing Independent or Green MP. Now, the goal for us, I mean, for me anyway, isn't for Labour to lose. It isn't for the Tories to win, as so many claim. Like, I personally want to see a hung parliament with Labour as the biggest party, which would give some power to smaller parties. Look, I don't particularly agree with anything the Lib Dems support, right? But we both support PR. Now, having a few Lib Dem MPs or smaller parties, you're more likely to get PR in a hung parliament than you were for a Starmer majority. I mean, any political party that wins a huge majority under first past the post isn't going to support PR because it's going to take power away from the bigger parties. Even a slim majority for Labour with, some more Green and Independent MPs. That's it. That's all most of us on the left who aren't voting Labour want. Now, this election is unique. It's the election of independent and smaller parties. Now, the polling might be overblown, but where the Tories are, they cannot win, and they are definitely in for a battering. Plus, I would argue that the stakes are incredibly low, probably at an all-time low. One, because the Tories have no chance. But two, ideologically, both parties are the same. There will be a changing government in name only, but everything, more or less, will stay the same. But the last election and 2017, well, they were incredibly high stakes. And again, two reasons. One, because, Corbyn never had a lead like Keir Starmer did, because at that time, the Tories didn't self-destruct. Plus, they needed every single vote they could get because more often than not, they were behind in the polls. And the second reason, there was an actual choice between a radical Labour government and the Tories. Now, the Labour Party under Keir Starmer, no, they don't need our votes. I agree with them. But that's the point. They can win without the left. So the left should go elsewhere with the knowledge that, Labour are going to win the next election. If they were worried about our votes, they would have tried to court us, wouldn't they? And the fact that they aren't and have actively tried to tell the left to fuck off speaks volumes. I also find it funny how different the left are treated to anyone else. How many times over the years do we hear about Labour needing to appeal to Tory voters, to appeal to the centre? And when they lose, the consensus, especially in the mainstream media, was that, well, they didn't appeal to a broader coalition, they didn't appeal to the centre or right-wing voters. But no one says that of the left. No one says, okay, well, of course, Labour need Tory voters, but they also need the left too. No, it's always, if you're on the left, you vote Labour or you're a secret Tory. As if we aren't voters, as if we aren't part of the electorate. Starmer is the Labour leader. It's his job to convince voters. It's his job to appeal to people like me. And if he's unsuccessful, that's not my fault. I mean, look, if Keir Starmer loses the election and throws away a 25 to 30 point lead, that is his fault only. Now, most that call us Tory enablers, I don't think they're concerned about the Tories winning. I think what they are is angry that we won't willfully vote Labour, and I think it's just an excuse to attack the left. I mean, half of the Tory enabler gang didn't vote Labour last time, or the time before that. Some have never voted Labour. Some have been Tories their whole lives. Now, I think the tactical vote is to vote for a smaller party. I would say the Greens, because, look, for many years, many have tried to change the party from within, and under Starmer, he's done nothing but purge and purge and purge. And it's at the point that realistically, nothing can be done from the inside. But since Labour care so much about electability, then leverage comes from outside the party. So if Labour win a thumping majority, what message does that tell them? It says the left don't even need to exist inside the Labour Party. We can go as right-wing as we want, because clearly that doesn't matter. Now, what if they were to win, but performed way worse than expected? And then we saw a surge in the vote on independent and Green candidates, and even saw more Green MPs elected. That would tell them we probably shouldn't have taken the left for granted. UKIP pulled the Tories to the right, and Reform, which is just a rebranded UKIP, have yielded a lot of power over the party of government. They have feasted off the Tory vote, all done from outside influence, and I think a left-wing version of this is possible. I think it's our right to do it, and to push Labour in a far better position than they are now. To me, it's not just about getting Labour in government, it's about getting Labour into government and transforming society for the better. Instead of Liz Kendall talking about kicking sick people off benefits, I'd like to see Labour talk about a humane welfare state. Instead of Rachel Reeves talking about tax cuts for the rich, I want to see Labour talking about a wealth tax to fund world-class public services. Instead of Wes Streeting talking about opening up the floodgates to NHS privatisation, I want to see Labour kick out the profiteers who make money off us needing medical care. And it doesn't mean we need a carbon copy of Corbyn leading Labour again, but us voters should be able to sway Labour from the outside to make them a better government. And given where the Tories are, I confidently think we can support the Greens or independent candidates and some Labour MPs in certain seats without fear of a Tory government. So far from being a Tory enabler, that's about using the little power we have to try and change the country for the better. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and drop a comment. It's good for the algorithm, and I'm interested in what you have to say. If you're not already subscribed, please do, and hit the notification bell. You can also support this channel by becoming a member for 99p per month, and if you're feeling a little more generous, then you can support us on Patreon for £3 or £5 per month. This channel for a while has been uploading every single day, and it's quite a lot of work that is still voluntary and scheduled around my paid work. But I have so much ambition, expect in the future to see more variety in content, such as interviews and Vox Pops. But I want this to be a fully fledged media organisation where not only is this my full-time job, but to have multiple people working for Turn Left. I like to see a live show in the future, more content that delves into culture, history, and much more. But that can only be done if there's money. So please, if you can, support us in any way that's in your capacity. And thank you to existing members, subscribers, and patrons. See you next time.